Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. To start with, my name is Steve Chong from REHDA. Just in case you don't know what is REHDA, REHDA is the Developer Association of Johor. We have about 133 members. That means most of the developers in town are our members. Our function is to help to promote properties as well as to receive if you need any help in Johor after you have purchased the properties and you think that you need some advice or sometimes some complaint. I think we can be a little bit of help. Now, the pertinent question about property developments, people always asking when is the right time to buy and where shall I buy? What sort of properties to pick up? I think these are the questions that we always been hearing many years ago. Now, before I go on any further, I think what to buy, where to buy, very much depends on individual investment portfolio. If you have spare cash, your purchase, your type of targeted property will be very different. Now, let's understand ourselves first. I always talk about there are 4 categories of house or property buyers. The first one is you buy it for your own use, whether it is a commercial properties or a residential properties. You want to buy it because you want to use it for business or you want to use it for your own dwelling. The second category of buyers will always, I'm talking about those investment. You buy, hopefully, the return, especially in Singapore, of your properties acquisition could kind of outbid your money that you'll generate for you if you place your money in the FD. Of course, the third category of buyers, we call them the property buyers to show their profile. You buy a properties in Sentosa, bungalow, and without asking much question, I know you're very rich, filthy rich. Of course, the fourth category are people who buy for a contingency plan. In the event of their countries are having problem, this is a safe haven for them to run to. In Malaysia, we don't normally have category 3 and category 4 properties because there isn't any place in Malaysia when you buy it, you can call yourself filthy rich. Neither Malaysia, at the moment of time I'm talking, will prove to be a safe haven in the events of anything that is not something happened in your hometown, you can run to Malaysia. Whereas Singapore is different. You have all the category. Now, I'm asking to give a keynote address. Then I think the theme given to me is how to let you understand the Malaysian properties. As the chairman of REHDA, I think I will not be doing my duty if I do not give you an outline of what is in the past in Johor properties, what are we now, where are we now, and hopefully I give a little bit of information about where are we heading. Hopefully after the little presentation that I have given for you, you're able to pick up some property from here today. So let's look at the past performance of Malaysian properties. In terms of volume, you notice that for the year 2012, properties in terms of volume or in terms of value are on the uptrend. Not until in the year 2014, which is the highest, because when the government announced the imposition of GST, a lot of sales transaction is being backdated to the year 2014, hopefully to escape from the GST. Therefore, you see a big kind of influx of S&P signed during the 2014, and follow 2015 is on the declining mode. So, in terms of the overall properties in Malaysia, it kind of stay quite stable. Some areas, they are doing well, some areas not so. Some type of properties are selling well, and some other type of property are not doing that well. So on the average, Malaysia being a very stable country, I think our economy are quite strong in the sense. The demand on properties always serve quite steadily. So in terms of, I'm talking about the loan application, because when you purchase properties, one of the biggest hurdle at the moment is the getting of financing. So we at REHDA, we collect a lot of information from all the developers across the country. We're able to highlight out of certain percentage. Normally the hit rate now is talking about every 2 applications, only 1 is approved. So don't know why. There are a lot of negotiation have been going on within REHDA and the bank. Hopefully the bank can release the condition. One of the requests that we make, we to ask the bank to not just look at the paper income. A lot of the smallholders, petty traders, that make a lot of money is people giving tuition, and these are not all recorded. Now, especially with Uber, with a lot of these so-called Airbnb, people are actually making money. So we tell the bank, reconsider that so that you can have a higher rate of approval. This is the resident properties launched in the year from 2015 up to 2017. You will also see after 2015 there is a sharp drop. Whereas when the year turned to the first quarter of 2016, it's slowly on the uptrend because a lot of properties by then have gotten their approval. They want to launch it. Now, after they launch it, again, 2016 and beyond, developers are more careful. They slow down the development, they be more selective now. So, in a way, the supply have reduced, but demand, whether it will be on the uptrend or not, we always waiting. Because a lot of buyers are waiting to see whether when is the right time to buy and where to buy. So, in terms of the unsold units in Malaysia from the year 2013 to 2016, we have a steady remain of approximately 50,000 units. And in terms of value, it's all mentioned there. So those under construction, those under after constructed, which is still, we call it the overhang at the moment. So what I read now is Johor, I think everybody used to use a clock to describe the property market. Whether are we at the 6 o'clock now or are we at the 12 o'clock now is again very, very individual. To me, I think we should be at the 11 o'clock now. When it crosses the 12, it will be going up. And then maybe it will come down again. Budget is coming. We are waiting for some more goodies to be given by the government. So, the present situation, there is a very big feeling. The influx of China developers, the influx of other developers from other states coming to Johor is making the supply and demand equation a bit off balance. There are a lot more supply than demand. Because of that, the property prices, especially condominium, are stay a little bit stagnant. In some cases, where the upper strength are a bit less, they are actually reducing pricing, doing very, very innovative sales packages, cover all your MOT, all your legal costs, whatever cost you mentioned, even the levy imposed by government, some people also willing to absorb. So the whole thing is they want to digest as much as their stock they can. The 6% service tax, which I mentioned just now, since the year 2015, the imposition have caused a lot of impact, especially in the construction industry. And worse still, the government do not allow housing, which is the dwelling, to be kind of a recharge back. They only allow you to claim back if your property is industry or commercial. So, even the construction of building material also getting very, very expensive, coupled with labor. So this is the dilemma that we're facing. Just now I was talking to one gentleman. I think most of the developer in the early years, they always claim their quality are one of the best, if not the best. And some of them even use a slogan towards zero defects. But nowadays, most of them have taken it down. Reason? The government policy of sending foreign workers after 5 years in Malaysia, they send them back to their hometown. So indirectly, in making Malaysia a training ground. So this is a dilemma we're facing. Much as we want to do a good quality jobs, I think all developers aspire to build houses which their end user appreciate and thanks them. No developer on earth will want to give you a lousy, lousy house. All of them aspire to give you a good home, quality in all respect. But however, sometimes, because this is not a factory built, because it's built by foreign workers most of the time, and we depend too much on them. That's why now the government are introducing IBS. But then again, IBS, until and unless you have the volume, the IBS system may not be able to sustain as well. So, this is again the government, beside the labor costs, which they impose certain number of years for them to stay, they also introduce minimum wages. Last time, we used to get away with 1,000 ringgit Malaysian, which I think to Singaporean is chicken feed. But however, because our cost of living there is low, they're able to sustain with 1,000 plus their overtime. If they draw home about 1,008, 1,009 to 2,000, we can keep the workers happily within our site. But nowadays, the government introduced the minimum wages. Now we have to pay as much as close to 3,000. Worse still, our foreign exchange has dropped 20 to 30%. Even with that increase, the workers still find that this is not enough. Because after the exchange sending the home money back to the hometown, it again become less. So they prefer to go to Middle East. Of course, if they can come to Singapore, this will be again their first choice. So this is all the problem that we are facing. Why am I telling you this problem? I'll show you later. So, the developer used to be very innovative. We brought in the system, the package called DIBS, Developer Interest Bearing Scheme. That means when you purchase the properties, you pay nothing. Even during the construction, you also pay nothing. Until the day you collect your key, then only you start serving the bank loan. This has been very, very well received by a lot of buyers, especially those younger generation where they cannot raise enough down payment. This is the scheme, where they cannot able to kind of service the loan during construction, where there is no positive income of the properties that they acquire. So this proved to be a very, very welcome. Because of that, there is a big uptrend of volume and value. So government see that, wait, is that a bubble being formed? Because of that, the government curved it, no more DIBS. Again, a cooling measure. So, to make it worse, RGPT, they increased. Government increased the real property grain tax. Last time it used to be much cheaper. Now, if you acquire a property, you sell it less than 3 or 5 years, you pay much more. Again, for some political reason, pressure, the government think that, which I think they're wrong, that foreigners acquire a lot of our properties. So they say, okay, the threshold is 1 million. Less than 1 million, foreign properties, foreign buyers cannot acquire properties in Johor or in Malaysia. So I think this is all the wrong concept. If you look at the so-called allocated unit to be sold to foreigners, which is very, very little. The 70% loan margin on the third property onwards, again, is another measure adopted by the bank, which also affect the sales very drastically. The loan approved based on net income instead of gross income. As I mentioned just now, sometimes without a paper proof, the bank officer are not willing to look at your income statement at all, which I think is a pity. So, last time, the bank also allowed you to pass on your service of your mortgage to your son, to your next generation. But then they decided, no, I will just let you handle it if you can. Too bad. So they reduced it to only 35 years. All this so-called financial control or the government imposition of cooling effect does cool the property market drastically. The rising costs, the development charges, every department asks for 1%. So much so that we call it a 1% stage now. Higher premium, conversion premium, infrastructure cost contribution, all these things are in. Last time, we used to enjoy as low as about 6%. We used to enjoy about 6% of the property price for the infrastructure cost, but now we are paying something like 24 to 25%. What does all this mean? It means that all the costs are literally transferred to the buyers. I just being sure I got more 15 minutes more. The availability of water and power supply, the lack of skilled construction labor, also the provision of unsold properties unit, a Bumi Putra unit. All this add on, it looked as if Johor Bahru in particular and also Malaysia in general have a lot of properties overhang, but in actual fact, they may not be the sole. So you look at the overall Malaysian properties market, in the year Q4 2016, we able to digest about 80 over million units in terms of, it's about 49 billion. But in the same year, same time, Q1 2017, there is a drop of 5.4% in terms of volume and a drop of 30% in terms of the value. That means that purchasers are shifting to a lower cost of the value. That means, in other words, property costing more than 1 million will find a reluctance in the sales. So what about the future trends? So REHDA have done some survey among developers to start with, and also include some potential buyer. How would you feel about the property market in the year 2017? We received a very balance of their response in terms of property market performance. 44% thinks that they are optimistic, and also nothing will change and will stay. Of course, there are 4% feel that it's going to be worse. Then again, counter with 8%, they think that no, property is going to shoot up because say what you like. The only hedge against inflation, the only hedge against deflation of value is properties. So we have done this survey and we have gauged quite well about what's going to happen in the year 2017, 2018. All this feedback are from experts, are from industry players. So we REHDA of the opinion that the properties price will be on the rise. The demand across the board is getting more and more. And the growing population, especially the younger house buyers, probably with good concept, which I've seen just now about from Taiwan and also from quite a few exhibitors, they are bringing in very new innovative concept, both in design, construction, as well as the purchase consideration. Loan approval ratio also gradually improved. Last time I mentioned about 50% rejection rates, but now they are talking about 60-65% approval rate already. Of course, there will be more catalysts, more corridor, economic corridor being introduced by the government. All these things will form as a catalyst for people to migrate, for more employment to be created, and with that, I'm sure more housing will be in demand. Influx of foreign home buyers, especially from the China and also from Singapore. I always say, Singaporean, dear Singaporean, whether you like it or not, we are literally we were brothers before. We share the same languages, we share the same living habit, our food, all the same. So where to go? Malaysia. If you sell your house in Singapore, let's say easily 1 million in Singapore, which any of your house will fetch more than 1 million. You go to Malaysia, you put 3.3 million, you put 2 million in the FT, $500,000 buy a nice Hamidi, 300,000 buy a Mercedes, and with 500,000 pocket money for your wife for shopping, and also engage a gardener and a driver, you live like a lot. But in in Singapore, with that property, maybe you still need to queue up in the bus or the MRT. So come to Johor. Especially, I say, most of the property, because of the supply situation, have been reduced. The property was built based on the time when our money are strong. I say strong means when I was still talking about $1 Singapore to 2.48 Malaysian. But now, $1 Singapore is 3.13 Malaysian. So, those properties that we have now, we have paid for price already. Therefore, a lot of developers, they are wanting to dispose it. So, with this price, I think it's still very much below their cost, the value. What I'm trying to say is, if they were to build the house today, With the weakening ringgit, I'm sure the cost price will be much higher. So this will also answer when is the right time to buy. Look at the Malaysian future launches to come. Most of the launches will be concentrated on rented property selling less than 600,000 to 800,000. So there are other properties in Malaysia whereby the government do give allowance for foreigners to acquire landed properties for less than 1 million. I got it 10 minutes less, huh? Go a bit faster. So this is, since today topic is across Malaysia, so these are the properties that Malaysian will be looking at. This is a survey conducted by REHDA. Most of the properties in the north are talking about less than $1 million, whereas in Johor, property selling 500 to $1 million ringgit will be in great demand, especially the landed sector. So how prices in Malaysia are not likely to decline. Unlikely to decline because I mentioned about rising costs in land costs, infrastructure costs, development costs. Landed properties still hold up quite well. Demand for affordable housing, which is about $400 to $500 per square feet. Just now I have a chance to visit Sunway. They are telling me they're selling $300 a square feet. I was shocked. I think that is a good buy. I am not their agent, but I think looking at the selling price per square feet, for selling $370 per square feet, definitely is worth looking at it. So the market activities remain subdued before 2018 flexible scheme. A lot of new innovative, like even our neighbor here, they're talking about give you a guaranteed return of 5% over the next 4 years, and some they even give higher. All these things are aimed, it is the right time to buy, especially our new KL Singapore high speed. Next time, traveling from Singapore to KL, it takes less than 2 hours, or if on a fastest track, it may 1.5 hours. The trend at play, pricing and service, things like location, accessibility, these are the areas you look at. Major development with a well-planned township. Hopscar development. Hopscar means home, office, park, schools with education, commercial and attraction. All this and that in when you buy property, look at property that have a master integrated planning, not just stand alone. And of course, crowd puller attractions, central activities, peaceful, safe and secure environment if you buy for dwelling. So, when? The fundamental question after talking about half an hour, when is the right time to buy? So I always say, every time is the right time, and today is the best time. With that note, thank you very much.